Hello, everyone on Facebook. This is David Munoz of Su Buena Salud. Thank you for joining us. I have a special guest on tonight, Mr. Dan Hammer. He is really an expert on exercise physiology and a good friend, and he's been on with us before. And just want to get some of his comments regarding a topic that a lot of people have really asked. What is the number one killer in the world today? You may think it could be the viruses that are going around. You may think that it could be accidents or automobile accidents. Perhaps you may think it could be an illness, ugly illness, a cancer, and cancer does kill a lot of people, but guess what? It's not any of three of those. And one of the things I've learned as I dealt in the health and wellness profession or health and wellness field during the last 8 years, that a lot of people really ask me, how can I get healthy? How can I reverse the clock? How can I get more energy and have less swelling and feel better as I age? And I want to say I found the secret. And a lot of people I've shared it with. And tonight, hopefully you can have a takeaway. It's not going to be a long interview with Dan. It's going to be maybe 15, 20 minutes. But hopefully you can have a big takeaway that you can take back with you and share with the family how to avoid that number one killer in the world. So I want to welcome, here we go. Hey, welcome Dan Hammer to Su Buena Salud channel. I'm glad to have you on with me.
Hello, David. How are you tonight?
I am just wonderful. Thank you, Dan, and thank you for joining me. I know you're a busy guy, and it's Sunday night, and we probably have a lot of people listening. And one of the things, Dan, that we've worked together on is trying to educate individuals or the people on how to live a healthier life.
Sure.
Not necessarily replace their medications or not go to the doctor. We encourage you that if you're going to the doctor, listen to your medical professional, take your meds. But the goal should be eventually to wean yourself off meds and let your body take over, let your body naturally heal itself and naturally be stronger as you age. And that's the secret we've discovered, Dan.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to share the screen and bring on some of the topics that we've talked about. So, the leading cause of death is I Googled it. It says, what is the cardiovascular, what is the leading cause of death in the world right now? And the Google hit I got right here is cardiovascular deaths. Right here, it says heart disease, stroke statistics in 2019 results, in 116.4 million people in the US, this is just the US, are estimated to have hypertension or some sort of cardiovascular disease. Someone dies of CVD or cardiovascular disease every 38 seconds. Incredible. And on average, someone dies of a stroke every 3.7 minutes. So when you have poor cardiovascular disease, and I'm going to let you take over, Dan, and talk a little bit about it. What happens when an individual has poor health in terms of a cardiovascular form?
Well, before you did that, David, we were into this 3 minutes, and so 9 people died from cardiovascular disease in the first 3 minutes of our presentation. And the statistic that you had up there for high blood pressure, that's about 1/3 of the adult population in America. That's how significant this is. So,
yeah, that's incredible.
Yep. So if you want to go forward with your slide presentation, what happens when there's poor cardiovascular health? A multitude of different things: poor wound healing, loss of energy, cognitive function issues. For men, erectile dysfunction, heart attack, stroke, neuropathy when it's due to poor blood flow, because there's 2 types of neuropathy. There's neuropathy from problems with the nervous system, and then there's neuropathy due to poor blood flow. And then definitely premature death. There's a lot of people that die prematurely, and if you look at the COVID-19 pandemic that's going on, what is it? It's a depressed immune system that has some other aspect to it, like cardiovascular disease. And as you showed from a statistical standpoint, a lot of America has cardiovascular disease. So unfortunately, you get the COVID-19 virus, you have that additional component of cardiovascular disease. Could be diabetes, could be heart disease, whatever it might end up being. it's not a good outcome.
Well, right in the middle of the screen there, Dan, we have something that you and I are familiar with. It's called a nitric oxide molecule.
Mm-hmm.
And, I never knew before learning about nitric oxide that that is really a very significant component of a path towards better cardiovascular health. And I wanted to expand a little bit of how nitric oxide as a natural supplement can help us, or a natural
Sure.
component in your body. So I'm going to move over the slide to the next slide here.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about this slide, Dan.
Sure. Well, as you can see by the slide, in 1998, the Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded to 3 American researchers who discovered how the lining of the cardiovascular system, what's called the endothelium, converts the amino acid L-arginine into this miracle molecule called nitric oxide. Quite frankly, if you don't have nitric oxide, you would be dead. Nitric oxide is involved in regulating your vascular system. Nitric oxide is involved in your immune system and helping to attack viruses and bacteria. Nitric oxide is used in your nervous system as part of the nerve conduction. And basically all nitric oxide is it's a signaling molecule. It causes something else to happen. And so if nitric oxide isn't there, then that something else can't happen.
For the benefit of those listening, Dan, okay, we're talking about nitric oxide. For many, it's probably the first time they've ever heard of that term.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that is natural in your body, or something that's injected into you, or how does the body produce nitric oxide?
Well, it produces it by enzymes that convert stuff to nitric oxide. So in the case of your lining of your vascular system, there's what are called enzymes in the lining of your vascular system. And when those enzymes are given the right ingredients, they convert those ingredients into nitric oxide.
Okay. And why would you say there's so many people that are sick, cardiovascularly related these days, when they're not sick? Let's say they're not sick when they're in their 20s. Why do they get sick when they're in their, older age? And maybe I'll move over to another slide so we could look at that here.
So what happens is damage occurs to that lining of the vascular system. And as that damage accumulates, the endothelium becomes less and less functional. So you might have the stuff around, but if it's dysfunctional, it can't convert to nitric oxide. So the key is keeping that lining healthy. And
we're talking about the lining right here that I'm pointing to my cursor, right? The lining
called the endothelium.
It's the walls, basically.
Well, again, the inside, it's only one cell thick, but it covers the inside of all the vascular system. In fact, it's the largest internal organ. Some people don't call it an organ, some people do, but it's the largest. It's kind of like your skin on the outside surface. This is like a one cell skin inside all of your vascular system, and that one cell organism, lining, organ, whatever you want to call it, actually regulates almost all of your cardiovascular health.
One of the things that I found in working with the Hispanic community, Dan, is that we are very heavy on a lot of, let's say, food that's very rich in let's say, fatty deposits or grease, and we just love our food. And a lot of times as we age, I noticed in working with individuals in the Hispanic community, we tend to gain a little bit of weight, or we tend to get diabetes or high blood pressure. And all that, according to the list that we saw earlier, were really complications related to cardiovascular health, correct?
Sure. And so you had mentioned oils. So are you looking at vegetable oils type?
Right.
Okay, those are basically what are called omega-6 oils, and those omega-6 oils cause inflammation or damage to the lining of your vascular system. So what happens is that damage accumulates over time, your nitric oxide levels go down, poor blood flow, you've got cardiovascular health issues. When that lining is inflamed or damaged, then that's the start of plaque formation. Over time, that plaque grows, makes the inside of that artery smaller and smaller, so it's harder and harder for blood to go through. That plaque becomes unstable over time, and then that unstable plaque can rupture, causing a blood clot that then goes downstream, gets stuck in a smaller artery, and then if it's in the heart, you've got a heart attack. If it's in the brain, it's a stroke.
Tell us a little bit about the slide we see here. How do increasing nitric oxide production in your body actually help
Okay.
Our cardiovascular conditions?
So there's three key benefits to nitric oxide. The first and most important benefit is that it relaxes the smooth muscle of your vascular wall to vasodilate or expand the vessel. And if you vasodilate or expand the vessel, that improves blood flow. So that's the first thing, that nitric oxide relaxes the smooth muscle for improved blood flow. If I improve blood flow, then I can deliver oxygen and nutrients properly and properly remove waste products. The second benefit is that nitric oxide actually keeps blood platelet cells from sticking together. So it's a natural way to reduce the risk for strokes and heart attacks. And then the third benefit is that when your nitric oxide levels are high enough, over a long enough period of time, they can begin to initiate reparative mechanisms, which then begin to heal damage done to the endothelium, which allows me to return more of my endothelium back into a healthy tissue. And if I'm nourishing it with the right ingredients, then that refurbished endothelium is now able to start producing nitric oxide normally. Well, if I keep increasing nitric oxide level, if I keep supplying the lining of the vascular system with the right ingredients, and I can continue this reparative process, I can bring more of this damaged endothelium back into a healthy functioning tissue, which then allows me to increase my nitric oxide levels to continue this process. Now, caveat, if I'm in my mid-60s, like I'm 67, there's no way that I'm ever going to get back into my 20s. But I can certainly get back into my 40s with regards to the health of my cardiovascular system.
So what you're saying, Dan, is actually, if I understand you, we can actually reverse aging process, or at least kind of restore the damage that the aging process has caused our cardiovascular health.
Sure.
Correct. So that's great. That's good to know. And to be honest with you, that's what I've experienced. You know, in using nitric oxide there. So the big question that probably everybody's going to have right now, Dan, is this one right here with the next slide. You know, how we can naturally increase, how do we naturally increase our nitric oxide production to prevent a lot of these conditions that we see on the screen here?
Well, you can try and do it through food. So the key one is L-arginine. You can get that through different meat that you can eat. Some plant-based nutrition has, like pea protein has a good source of L-arginine. But again, every time that you eat food, you know, it's the quality of the food, the amount of the food, the cost of the food. It's only going to be a temporary increase, because if you're just dealing with one ingredient, L-arginine, you'll get a temporary increase, but you won't get long-lasting benefits. So you need something like L-citrulline. And that you can only find in watermelon from a natural standpoint. And unfortunately, 60% of the L-citrulline is in the rind portion, which most people don't eat. So unless you go and juice your watermelon, you're just not going to be able to produce nitric oxide levels at the level that you want to. So the easiest way is to do a supplementation that has been properly formulated to give the lining of your vascular system, the enzymes of the endothelium, the right ingredients that it needs so that it can optimize its ability to create nitric oxide.
So the bright supplementation, now people can go probably to a health food store and probably get arginine or as a supplement itself.
Sure.
But as you say, there's a combination of things. So the product of choice that you would recommend, and this is our next slide here, was ProArginine Plus, which you and I both take.
Sure. That product came on the marketplace in 2008. So it's got a long history of being able to help people improve nitric oxide levels. The other nice thing about that is it's a blend of ingredients, all specifically designed to nourish the enzymes of the endothelium to help them optimize its nitric oxide production.
And I see here that it's actually created following that Nobel Prize winning science.
Yeah, that's the foundation of there's a lot of products in the marketplace that help to produce nitric oxide. So the foundation of all those products come back to the 1998 Nobel Prize in Medicine. But the nice thing about ProOxygenate Plus is, one, it's made by Nature's Sunshine Products. They control the whole manufacturing process. And there's 262 verified quality assurance steps that go into the manufacturing. I've been in the health and fitness field for over 30 years. And one of the problems in nutritional supplements is that they don't meet their label claims. Never will be an issue with ProOxygenate Plus. It is guaranteed to meet their label claims, even all the way up to the expiration date on the product. So if it's ever tested, it's always going to meet its label claims, and that's because of the 262 verified quality assurance steps. The other thing is, it's actually recognized by the medical community. It's been listed for 6 straight years in what's called the Physician's Desk Reference. It's the main guideline book that physicians use on recommendations to their patients. And I think you have the quote up there, ProOxygenate Plus is the highest quality L-arginine supplement in the world. Now, I said that, but I didn't write that. The medical community wrote that. So the medical community sees ProOxygenate Plus as the highest quality L-arginine supplement in the world. And then the other nice thing about ProOxygenate Plus is actually clinically proven. Clinically proven to produce higher levels of nitric oxide and do it more rapidly than L-arginine alone. And clinically proven to prevent vascular inflammation. I talked about vascular inflammation with regards to omega-6 fatty acids causing inflammation that then leads to plaque formation. ProOxygenate Plus is clinically proven to prevent vascular inflammation. Does it in 2 specific ways. We won't go into that detail, but that's the quality product that we use, that we believe is the best of all the products that are out there in helping to create nitric oxide.
One of the things I share with my Hispanic customers, or all my customers, that I always tell them, if you're going to buy something to help improve your cardiovascular health and help reverse a lot of the damage that we've experienced throughout the years, why pay for something that doesn't work? I say the highest cost or the most expensive product that you can buy is the one that doesn't work. So I love it that ProOxygenate Plus comes with a guarantee. That's what convinced me. Because the 120-day money-back guarantee that they offer means that I'm not wasting my time or money. Either it works or it doesn't.
Yep,
right?
A person can put it to the test, and if they're not satisfied with the results that they get from this product, they can return that product, their initial order, back to Synergy Worldwide for a full refund on the cost of the product.
Great. So Dan, again, we're back to the beginning. What is the leading cause of deaths in the world? We know it's cardiovascular disease. It leads to people getting complications from diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, poor quality of life. And we need to reverse that. We need to address it immediately and get our life back in order and grow old youthfully, grow old younger, as I say, because that's what it's all about. Enjoying our older years, enjoying our time. And even the young people in their 40s and 30s, they need to be proactive in taking steps to protect their cardiovascular health so they don't encounter the complication of the older generation.
Yeah, David, and we've been on this now for coming up to 19 minutes. 28 people have died in the 18, 19 minutes that we've been on this. 28 people have died from cardiovascular disease.
Wow.
And it doesn't have to be this way. That's not to say that we're going to prevent all deaths, but nitric oxide therapy is a valid way to help people improve their cardiovascular health to significantly reduce their risk for cardiovascular disease.
We'll wrap up in about 30 seconds, Dan, but how do people take this recommended supplement that we're talking about?
It's pretty simple. It's a powder. You just mix it in with water, stir it up, drink it down. Some people, like my wife, like to just drink it right down. I prefer to sip it over a 30-minute period. And, I do it twice a day. Other people will do it just once a day. It all depends upon where they're at in their cardiovascular health.
Great. So Dan, again, thank you so much for joining me on this very, very special chat that we're having here online on my Facebook page. I want everyone who wants more information, please feel free to visit Nitric Oxide ebook or do your own research. You Google nitric oxide, find out more about it like I did, find out more about Porogenine Plus, find out what supplementation is. We don't have to grow old suffering and poor quality of life when we know that we can naturally reverse the damage to our cardiovascular health. Our doctors will be amazed. Many people have told me that, and you'll have the same experience. So again, Dan, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome, David. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you in our next presentation.